data is talking about some sales information which contains category, item, date, price, quantity and amount. Some sales information. Okay?
Yeah.
And it contains 85 rows of data. Why should I summarize this data first of all?
Summarization would give you a general idea of what the data is saying and what you can deduce by it.
Okay. So let's say I summarize this data, you understood. Okay? You understood the summarized data. Then what are you going to do? What are you going to do with that information?
Maybe make some changes in how things are being run, what items are being priced a certain way, or how much quantity we need in our warehouses, depending on what this is for.
Yeah, that is all about understanding.
Yeah.
After understanding, what we'll do? See, ultimately, whatever the report you work, whatever the dashboard you take, right? Ultimately, everything leads to make a decision.
Sure.
That can be in a positive way, that can be in a negative way.
This can help that decision.
Yes. Report makes you take a correct decision.
Sure.
Okay. So when can you take a correct decision? If the report is correct.
Sure.
Okay. If the report is easy to understand, then only you can make a proper decision, and that will lead to grow the business generally. Yeah. Right? So that is the reason this raw data must be converted into report or summary, and that can be done very easily and quickly by using pivot table.
Okay.
Okay. So that is the reason pivot table is very, very important while working with Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
Okay. See how to create a pivot table. It's very simple steps, like you'll be selecting the entire data. I'm clicking on pivot table. Immediately you can see this dialog box where it is talking about what is the selected table or range. This is the range we selected from A1 to F85. We already selected. And see new worksheet. Choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. Where do you want to create this pivot table? Is it in new worksheet or in a existing worksheet?
Yeah.
If I say new worksheet, a new worksheet will be created and the pivot table report will be placed over there.
Yeah.
If I say existing worksheet, I can choose any of the location of any of the existing worksheet in this workbook.
Okay. Or it will create on its own.
Sorry?
If I don't choose a location, it will create it on its own?
It will be created on A1 itself. By default, it will be A1.
Okay.
Okay, A1 cell. Okay. Now, but most of the times we'll be going with the new worksheet only, because we don't want to keep the data and report in the same worksheet, because there will be lagging. I mean, there will be complications later if you increase the data and all.
Okay.
Okay. So that is the reason every time we prefer to keep data and report in different sheets. So that is what I am doing here. I am clicking on new worksheet and clicking OK. Immediately one new worksheet will be created. See, this is the new worksheet, sheet 1. And it contains a pivot table called pivot table 1. And at your right hand side, you can see the headers.
Okay.
These are nothing but a pivot table fields. Pivot table fields are nothing but a headers in your raw data.
Sure.
Category, item, date, price, quantity and amount. And at the bottom here you can see 4 different blocks which will be creating a reports. By simply dragging and dropping, you can create a simple reports very quickly. See, let's say I would like to see category wise sales amount. I would like to see which category is performing good. Category wise sales amount. A simple report.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is called single dimension report.
One dimension. So let's say if I change the source data right now, will it change the report, this report as well?
Yes.
Okay.
How to change the data? That we'll see. I'll show you.
Sure.
We have an option here in analyze that I'll show you. Okay. So I'm giving you basic pivot table report this thing. Okay, and how to create two-dimensional report. See, this is called two-dimensional report. The data which is talking about in a two different fields. Category-wise information,
Column.
item-wise information. Okay, so this is called two-dimensional report. Now I would like to create multi-dimensional report. Now see, this is called multi-dimensional report.
Yeah.
Data is talking about category-wise, item-wise, and date-wise. This is called multi-dimensional report. And if you observe here, see how easily I am able to change this. Simply I am just dragging and dropping. Automatically my report is getting updated. Structure is getting updated very easily. If you want to try the same thing using manually, it will be very difficult. Right? At the same time, there are some disadvantages also with the pivot table, because you can't give a good presentation with the pivot table. Formatting and all cannot be done. Even if you update the formatting also, once your data get updated, automatically that will be deleted. Formatting. Okay. So that is the reason. If you want to have a quick analysis, then in that cases we'll be going with pivot table. Otherwise, we'll be using formulas to prepare the reports. That I will show you while we are working with MIS, Management Information System.
Sure.
Okay.
Pivot table is an easier way to just visualize without having to do too much work.
Correct.
Yeah.
A quick analysis can be done.
Okay.
Okay. You'll get some idea on the data immediately.
Okay.
But if you want to present it in a beautiful manner, then you can't go with pivot table. Then you must go with formulas and formattings.
Okay.
All the options what we discussed yesterday in Home tab.
Yeah.
That one you must use. Okay. Right. So I will do again one more time what we did so far quickly. So what we need to do, select the data, go to insert, click on pivot table. I already choose the data and new worksheet, click OK. Immediately sheet will be created with the pivot table name called pivot table 2. By default some pivot table name will be given. And at your right hand side you can see pivot fields, and it can be dragged and dropped to these 4 different blocks.
Okay.
Row wise information, column wise information, and data. Data is nothing but a calculations will be done here. Okay?
Sure.
And let me name it as PT1. And from here you can change the pivot table name. See how to change the pivot table name. Whenever you place the cursor on pivot table, immediately at the top right side tab you can see pivot table fields. Whenever you place the cursor on pivot table, then you can see pivot table tools at the right hand side top, and from here you can change the pivot table name. Let's say I am changing it to my new pivot, and you can see here.
Yeah.
Okay, but however we have nothing to do with this pivot table name. Okay, it doesn't make any changes, not an issue. Even if you don't change, also not an issue. But while working with VBA macros, then this pivot table name is mandatory. Here it is not mandatory.
Sure.
Okay, and yeah, first I'm creating a basic pivot table by dragging category item to rows, row headers, and date for column header, and for summary I am going to give amount. Basic pivot table, category wise, item wise, and date wise information. Now we'll be understanding pivot table tools here. Under pivot table tools you can see analyze and design tab. First we'll go with design tab. What this design tab is talking about. See, this design tab is completely about reporting layout. How your pivot table need to be displayed. That is what we can do here.
Okay.
The first option we are having layout. Under layout, I can see subtotals. We are having different options. Do not show subtotals, show all subtotals at the bottom of the group, and show all subtotals at top of the group. So if you see here, do you see any subtotals in this report?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on the top.
Where it is? Yeah. Category 1 subtotal.
Yeah.
Category 10 subtotal, 11 subtotal. See, these subtotal can be removed, or it can be at the bottom, or it can be at the top. I am saying do not show subtotals. Subtotals will be vanished. Show subtotals at bottom of the group.
Yeah.
The bottom of the group. Or show subtotals at top of the group. As per your convenience, as per your requirement need, as per your business needs, you can change this.
Okay.
Next option that we are having, grand total. Grand total, you'll be having two grand totals. Row-wise grand totals, column-wise grand totals. Okay, and these grand totals can be added or removed from here. Check. Off for rows and columns. On for rows and columns. On for rows only. On for columns only.
Okay.
Right? So this is how you can keep or remove the grand totals for both rows and columns. But the best practice is we'll keep both row and column grand totals in any of the reports so that it will be easy to understand.
Okay.
Okay. And next option that we are having, reporting layout options. By default, pivot table will be prepared in a compact form, and it can be changed to outline or it can be changed to tabular form. What does it mean? Show in compact form. Compact form is nothing but a tree structure form. For example, see, if I click on category 1, see, you can expand and collapse here, and this it will be creating a tree structure. Under category 1, items. Under items, if you add any of the item, again that will be added. Let's say I'll show you. I am adding date here. See, it's creating a tree structure.
Sure.
Okay, so this is what called a compact form. And another form that we are having, outline. When I say outline, these row headers will be splitted into multiple columns. For example, in this case, what are the row headers that we are using? Category and item. Both are displaying in a column A as of now. And when I use this outline form, that will be splitted into multiple columns. Categories in one column, items in another column.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what called outline form. And another one that we are having, tabular form. This is the form which we'll be using very frequently. It looks good also.
This looks like outline form. It split the.
Yeah, it's outline form, but you can see here at the bottom you can see subtotals.
Okay.
And earlier, okay, let me show you outline form. See, this is how it looks like.
Okay. So you just move the
Subtotals at the top, and then in different column you can see items. So this is how it looks like. When I say tabular form, this line will be vanished. Categories, their items, at the bottom subtotal.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the best option to prepare a pivot table, tabular form. Okay. And next option that we are having, repeat all item labels. So if you want to repeat all the item labels, first of all, what are the item labels? Labels are nothing but a headers. In this case, category 1 can be repeated for twice, right? More 2 times can be repeated. When I say repeat all item labels, all the item labels will be repeated.
Okay.
If you don't need, say do not repeat item labels. That's it. Okay. And next option, blank rows. Insert blank line after each item. Remove blank line after each item. So first of all, one thing we need to understand here is, in pivot table, manually you can't add or delete either data or any formatting.
Sure.
Okay, I mean to say, if you want to delete this data, if you are performing delete button here, it will not work.
We can only make changes.
If you want to insert any column, you can't insert.
Okay.
Okay, pivot table cannot be you can't do any changes in this pivot table manually. It's very simple.
Okay.
Okay, but if you want to put a blank line after each category, then you can go for this blank row after each item, so that a blank line will be created of. You can't perform any changes here. This is just to differentiate your categories, that's it.
Okay.
You can't enter, you can't delete, you can't perform any other actions, just to differentiate categories, just to keep a distance, that's it.
So this is very restrictive. It's only for looking purposes. You cannot do any editing
That's
on
it.
it. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. And remove blank line after each item if you don't need.
Okay.
And this one we know row headers. Row headers will be highlighted and dehighlighted. You can observe here category 1 and category 10. Okay. Column headers can be highlighted and dehighlighted. Banded rows, alternative rows will be highlighted. Banded columns, alternative columns will be highlighted.
Yeah.
It's very simple options. And from here you can see pivot table styles. You can choose any of the pivot table styles which looks for you.
Is
Good for
pivot
you.
table used for doing a lot of presentations?
No.
So why do we have
That
these
is what I'm
options?
telling. Pivot table, that is what, right? A quick summary will be taken
Yeah, but
from the data.
we have these options where we can format the table how it looks. And
You can do formatting, but the problem here is, see, let's say if I update the data. Okay, if I update the data, okay, let me show you. Generally we have one option here, okay, let's say I am highlighting this. Okay, these are my important dates, so I am highlighting them. Okay, I am just simply pressing refresh. See, again it has been removed.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever you say refresh, it will be removed. And again, this, see, can we present this much data?
No, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you can't present this much data. You can't treat it as a summarized information. Still, this is not a summarized information.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah, there are few more options to do something like this, but still, you can't directly use them as a reports.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, what we're talking about, yeah, these styles and all. Okay. So clear with this design tab?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then we'll go for analyze. And analyze, we already discussed this pivot table name.
Yeah.
You can give anything, that's not an issue. And here you can see options. The simple options which we already discussed. From here also you can do same things like merge and center cells with labels. The cells, the labels which can be merged and centered, that can be done from here. Let's say if I click OK, see, it can be merged and centered. Because this merge and center option cannot be performed manually in pivot table. So this is the option to make labels merge and center.
Okay.
Okay. And another option that we are having for error values. If there are any error values, that can be ignored by using 0.
Sure.
For empty values, if there are any empty values, empty cells in your pivot table, that can be replaced with 0.
Sure.
Okay. And auto-fit column widths on update. Whenever you update the data, automatically column widths will be updated. And preserve cell formatting on update. As I said earlier, If you don't use this option, whenever you update, whenever you make any changes or refresh automatically, that will be removed. So we need to use this option, preserve self-formatting on update, so that format will remain same. Even I press refresh also, it will be there. Okay?
Yeah.
And then you can analyze. Okay. Tools and filters. We already discussed. Show grand totals for rows, show grand total for columns. Okay. Allow multiple filters per field. Okay, that is the option will never use. You can ignore that. And display, show, expand, collapse buttons. You can see this show and expand, collapse buttons. So contextual tooltips, whenever you place the cursor here, automatically it will display some information. Display field, caption and filter drop downs. You can ignore all this is very simple option. You can ignore this, all this action. Printing, data. Okay. Now where we'll use this? No. Okay. So this is what about pivot table name and options. And coming here you can see active field settings. See, you can actually, we can also do the same action from here as well. That, see, if you observe here, it is giving you sum of amount.
Yeah.
So when I drag this quantity, what I can see here? Sum of quantity. When I drag price, what I can see? Sum of price. When I drag this item here, what I can see?
Count of item.
Count of item. When I drag category here, what I can see? Count of category. Why sometimes it is giving you sum, sometimes it is giving you count? Why it's changing?
Because price, sum doesn't make sense.
See, basically it's very simple. Whenever you take a data will be segregated into two different categories. See, it is measures, dimensions. There will be two categories in any of the data. Measures, dimensions. What are measures? Which can be calculatable fields. Measures which are calculatable. Dimensions which can be used as a headers in report. So if you see here, this category, item, date, all three are called dimensions. Here you can't perform calculation, right? Like you can't perform sum, count. Okay, you can perform count. Other than that, you can't perform anything. Coming here you can perform anything. You can perform sum, you can perform average, you can perform minimum, maximum, even count also. Right? So these are called measures. So that is what's happening here. Whenever we're working with the price, quantity and amount, by default it is giving you sum because these are calculatable fields. When I'm working with the date, item and category and values field, it will give you count of category, count of item, count of date, because those are not calculatable fields. That's it.
So it understands the data type. It understands if it's calculatable or not. Okay.
Correct. Okay. But however, you can change the function from here by going to value field settings.
Okay.
By default, it will give you sum of amount, and you can change it to count, average, min, max, product, whatever. Just select and press OK, and it will be changed.
Okay.
You give it a try for that. Okay. So that is what all about field settings. And this drill drop will never use. Ignore that. And coming here, expand and collapse button. By default, it will be in disable mode, even if this group also. By default, it will be in disable mode. whenever I place my cursor on either row headers or in column headers, then it will get enabled. Expand, collapse, and these group options. I'm just placing my cursor here on row header. Now you can see expand and collapse buttons and also groupings. So how it works? When I say collapse, everything will be collapsed. See, structure will be collapsed, tree structure will be collapsed. Okay, see, collapsed. Because whenever you're trying to present the data with huge number of information, in that case, user can't understand the report. If it is very lengthy, it will create unnecessary confusion. So that is the reason we'll create this kind of expand and collapse so that it will be very short. As and when user required, he can click here and he can see the required information. Okay?
Yeah.
And from here you can expand the data. Everything can be displayed at a time. Collapse. Clear with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next option that we are having, groupings. Groupings, this group option generally can be used to group the data of headers. Okay, let's try to do that. I'm trying to group. See, I'm clicking on group selection. See, it is saying cannot group that selection because this groups option can be used only for dates. Only dates can be grouped by using this option.
Okay.
Okay, so how to do that? For example, as I said earlier, see, this is a very big report, not summarized one. Let's say I would like to present the same information in month-wise. In that case, you can go for analyze, group selection. See, now it is giving you. Now this grouping is working. By default, it will pick starting date and ending date based on the given raw data. No need to do anything here. And how do you want to summarize your information? Month-wise, quarter-wise, year-wise. As I'm selecting month, clicking OK. See, this is monthly report.
Lot smaller.
Okay. But just observe here. How many years of information you're having here in this data? I'm having 13, 14, 15 and 16 years information.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you come here, just see.
No year.
This May is talking about which year information? You can't understand that.
Yeah.
All the years information, right? So I would like to split that into years. Then again, I'm going to group selection. Along with this months, I'm also selecting years. It will give you a very clear picture. Multi-dimensional report. Under 2013, I'm having July, August, September, October, November, December information. In 2015, I'm having complete information. 2016, 2014, right? So this is how you can understand the data very easily. And you can make the reports very quickly. So clear with them?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I will about group selection. And coming here, you can see filter options, insert slicer. So have you all worked with this slicer option?
Yeah, it lets you select specific things that you want in a particular table.
Filter makes easy.
Yeah.
Right? You can make you can filter the data very easily and quickly. So how to do that? Analyze, going to slicer, select. Yeah, this is your slicer. Okay, you can filter the data very easily. 13, 14, 15. And if you don't require, simply click here. Filters will be removed.
Okay.
Okay. And the next option that we are having, insert timeline. Timeline can be used to work with only time and date fields. So as we are having only one date field in this report, you can see only one. And you can select from here. If there is any data, that will be selected. Okay. But the problem with this time slicer is, timeline is, you can't select multiple items at a time. You can't filter multiple at a time. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the advantage with this category, advantage with this slicer is you can apply the same filter for multiple pivot tables at a time. That is a very, very useful option.
That is the advantage with slicer?
Okay, I mean to say, let's say if you created a multiple pivot tables, okay, with the same data. Okay, in this case, this is talking about category wise and month wise information.
Yeah.
Let's say I am creating another pivot table. Saying PT2, and the pivot table name I'm giving my new pivot 1. In this case, I'm showing category wise, item wise sales amount. Okay, when I'm presenting this data in a meeting, let's say here I have applied filters for category 10, 13 and 16. Okay, we are trying to discuss on 10, 13 and 16. If I come here, it should also be 10, 12 and 13 only. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean 10, 13 and 16 only. Otherwise, what I need to do, again I need to apply the filters here. Okay, 10, 13, 16, something like this. Let's say again I'm changing values here. Again I need to change from here also.
Yeah.
What if I'm having, let's imagine, what if I'm having 10 different pivot tables, something like to do something like this. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Right? So as a solution, we can make use of same slicer for multiple pivot tables. So how to do that? Selecting slicer, going to options, going to report connections. See, this slicer already been assigned with my new pivot, first pivot table, and I'm also selecting second pivot table. Click OK. Now see, category 10, 12, 15. Same filters applied for second pivot table also.
Wow.
Okay,
yeah.
And you can assign for a number of pivot tables. But the only condition here is all those pivot tables must be prepared with the same data. You can't apply for multiple pivot tables, multiple data.
Okay. Source
If
data should be the same.
Yeah, source data should be same for all the pivot tables.
Okay.
Clear with this?
Yes.
Okay. And then, and from here you can see all the filter connections. What are the filters that we use? We used category, we used date. Okay, what are the fields you use as a timeline or slicer? You can see as a list. And then, data. Refreshing the data and change the data source. What do you mean by refreshing the data? If there are any changes in your source data, then you can simply say refresh.
On the pivot table.
But the condition here is, whatever the range that you used while you're creating the pivot table, when you're creating the pivot table, only in that range, if you have any changes, then refresh is fine.
Okay.
I mean to say, while you're creating a pivot table, what is the range that we use from A1 to F85?
Yeah.
Okay. In this range, if you have any changes, let's say I'm changing it to 445 to 4445. So I made a change in the given range.
Yeah.
Used range. In that case, you can observe here. In that case, only refresh is fine. If you have any extra rows or columns in a data, let's say I'm trying to add few more rows information here.
That won't make a difference.
Yes, I'm changing it as category 29 and category 30.
let's say if I want this to be reflected, would I have to select it again and then make another
I
pivot table?
didn't get you. What is that?
Let's say if we want to use the newer data for the pivot table.
Yes, even for newer data or for changes in the existing data. If you want to use complete a new set of data which is available in another sheet, then you can use this, no problem.
No, let's say you want to add data to an existing sheet. For instance, we used this sheet to build a pivot table before, and then we are adding rows at the end. So those rows won't be reflected in the pivot table. How would we make sure that those rows also are accounted for in the pivot table?
That is what we are doing here. See, then I'm going for change data source.
Oh, you
See, it is showing A1 to F85. When you created a pivot table, this is the range you used.
now 90.
Okay, now it has been increased to 90. So again I'm going here, selecting the entire data. This is the best practice. Don't change the values here. It will make confusion sometimes. So remove this and again select the entire data. Click OK.
Okay.
Okay. And okay, before that let me remove this. Report connections. Yeah, let me do that. Analyze. Change data source. I'm selecting the entire data one more time. Click OK. Now at the bottom you can see the newly added categories.
Yeah.
Category 29 and category 30. And the same you can find in your pivot table also. I'm sorry, slicer also.
Sure. And these changes are only made in this particular pivot table or any
This particular pivot table.
other pivot tables will be have to be refreshed individually. So
You have to perform the same action for each and every pivot table
okay. Even if they're connected.
manually. Sorry?
Even if they're connected, even if we have done filter connection on them.
Yes, you have to.
Okay.
There is a simple option to make this dynamic instead of changing the this one, what do you say, data every time. There is an option using formulas.
Okay.
So once we're done with the formulas, then we'll see about this again.
Sure.
Yeah, so this is what all about refreshing and change data source. And next option we are having clear all. The entire structure will be cleared.
Yeah.
It's very simple. And then select. You can select the entire pivot table whenever you're trying to cut, copy, move. Okay, whenever you're trying to present these kind of actions. And values only. You can select only values. You can select only labels, or you can select both labels and values. Just for selection process. Just like copy and paste. And move pivot table. A pivot table can be moved from one location to another location. Let's say it's available in A3. I would like to move it to G3. Click OK. It will be moved over there.
Okay.
Or it can be moved to any other worksheet. It can be moved to any other workbook as well.
Okay.
Using the option. And here fields, items and sets generally will never use. Will be using only calculated field here, and that too this is also very rarely will be using. But let me show you how to work with calculated field.
Okay.
Calculated field is nothing but the extra field which can be used in your analysis. That means, if you see here, it contains some 6 fields which are category, item, date, price, quantity and amount. I would like to add a commission field, but I don't have permissions to make any changes in raw data. This raw data will remain same.
Sure.
But I would like to show commission field in my pivot table. That is an extra field for analysis purpose.
Yeah.
In that case, we'll go for analyze. We'll go for calculated field, and here you can give the field name. Let's say I'm giving commission. And how you are going to calculate this commission? Based on sales amount into, so 5%. My sales amount into 5%. Click OK. You can see here. For each and every sales amount, there is a 5% of commission. At the end, you can also see grand total of the amount and grand total of the commission.
Okay.
Okay. So this is how you can create a calculated fields. And you can see the same calculated field here as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is not available in raw data, but you can see this here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then pivot chart. Pivot charts, these charts and all generally will never use because it won't give you a complete picture actually. If I say pivot chart, see this is how it looks like, and it will not give a clear picture. You can't understand anything out of this actually.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't use this pivot charts. Instead of that, we can use normal charts, and we can make it very dynamic charts over there.
Okay.
Okay. And then that we'll see how to create charts and all while working with charts. We'll see.
Okay.
And then recommended pivot tables that I'll show you. And field list. This field list can be added or removed from here. And buttons. Show and hide buttons. Like expand and collapse buttons. These buttons.
Yeah.
Can be added or removed from here. And field headers. Field headers are nothing but this category, item, date. This can be added or removed. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what all about analyze tab. Okay. So pivot table is a very simple option. Very easily, very quickly you can prepare the summary or report of the raw data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can practice this. Okay. And what I'm doing here, along with this data, so you can practice with this data first.
Sure.
And you can also make use of this live data to prepare some real-time reports. Okay. So first try to understand this data, what this data is talking about, what are the fields are available in this data.
Mm-hmm.
Then try to prepare at least 5 pivot table reports for tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, using this data. But please remember, report must be meaningful first of all.
Give some insight.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can't just drag and drop whatever in the pivot table. If you see the pivot table, it should give some information, and I should be able to understand the data so that I can make a decision.
Okay.
Okay. So think in that way and prepare at least 5 pivot tables for tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. And the last part I will cover here is recommended pivot table. Let me show you. Recommended pivot tables. So what are these recommended pivot tables? Let's say I don't have an idea about pivot table, how to create the pivot table. In that case, simply click on this recommended pivot tables. It will give you some pivot tables. It will suggest some pivot tables with the given data. And if you are okay with them, simply you can select and you can create a pivot table report.
Okay.
Okay. So I would like to go with this pivot table. Click OK. See, it's created a pivot table for me. And of course, however, if you want to make any changes, you can make the changes from here. For example, see, it is giving me sum of price, which is not meaningful. We generally will never do sum of the price.
Yeah.
Okay, it should be average. So I'm going to change the function from here. We discussed, right? Value field settings earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now see, I'm changing it to average price. This is my average price, sum of quantity, sum of amounts. My simple report
Yeah.
using pivot table. Okay. Yeah. So this is all about pivot tables and tables, recommended pivot tables.
Mhm.
Tomorrow we'll see how to work with illustration part.
Okay.
Pictures, shapes, smart art, screenshot, okay, and how to make these, working with these options is very simple actually, but tomorrow we'll be understanding how to make use of these pictures and shapes to prepare a good dashboard
Okay.
to present the data effectively. That is what we'll be understanding. So before that, you must be familiar with all these home tab options, whatever we discussed yesterday and today.
Okay.
Okay, so that you can understand tomorrow's topics very easily.
I'll make sure I know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I'll share these files. Please go through. We'll meet tomorrow then.
Okay. Thank you so much, Venu.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.